I recently went on this like hippie thing with my wife. She took me to the Big Island, and we went to this ayahuasca event. And my wife's kind of hippy dippy, so she says, I want to go do this thing. I'm going to go with my girlfriend. And I'm like, what is it? She goes, oh, you want to go? I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll try it. And so I went. This is really hippy dippy. And so I had this like completely amazing experience, which was, I guess it's like for artists, it's a good way to like, kind of get out of your stuff, just like experience a new perspective on life. And so I had this experience like that. If it's shitty, don't do it. And I've held that to this day. This was like maybe 6 months ago we went, and it's like, yeah, I'm not doing anything I don't want to do. I'm doing everything I want to do. And I don't do things just because it helps somebody else. I do it because it's fun. And part of the fun, obviously, for me is like, it actually is helping somebody, because what's the satisfaction that you gain out of doing anything that is like, oh, somebody appreciated it.
Yeah.
And so you're getting a compensation. It's not monetary, but it could be like somebody goes like, good vibes, that was super good time, and let's hang out. And that's why I do things.
Yeah. There's self-interest and selflessness, regardless of what you do. Even something like the Peace Corps when I went, and helping out, world friendship and peace. But we get a lot out of it too, So there's a lot of self-interest, because even when you say like, oh, wow, you're so nice giving a lot of money, you get nothing in return. The thing you're getting in return is the gratitude, or that feeling, like completely. That feeling of giving makes you happy. It fills your cup. So, you're still getting something from it. It's just not monetary or whatever.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. Like, my gain is not your loss.
Yeah.
We can gain together. That's what synergism is. Like, multiple energies making more than the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's like you can have your cake and eat it too. And everybody else gets to eat cake too.
Yeah.
As long as you have the right perspective on it.
Yeah, that's super cool. What was that? What was your biggest? So that was your biggest takeaway from that like ayahuasca trip? Just kind of discovering all of that.
So it's a little bit more complex than that, because ayahuasca is kind of like this hallucinogenic
Do you throw
experience.
up at then? Is that
so? Yeah,
is that
it's famous for people throwing up, and that's why I was like, oh, that's real sketchy. And
Yeah.
I looked it up online, and I'm like, oh, they give you a bucket, and you're gonna throw up. And I saw these people like rolling in the mud and the dirt, because they do it outside, I guess, because it's like they don't want to have the barf inside a house. So I'm like, maybe I don't want to go. This is sketchy. And I'm like, no, I committed. I'm gonna go. Right. So I go. And so they give you this potion, and it's made out of Amazonian herbs, like this one vine and this one tree bark. And the combination of the two apparently lets the toxins release in your bloodstream. And you eat super clean for like a week before. Basically, we went vegan, for a week. We go to this thing. And then, so part of it is they don't want to have the bad trip. And so it depends on what else is in your stomach, or
so no Panda Express.
The attitude, no Panda Express. Like, no, that's gonna mess you up, even if you're Chinese, right? So we go into this place, and they give you this little Dixie cup of this material, and you take it, and they're playing all these hippy dippy musics around you, gongs and everything, like mouth harps. Yeah, and it really gets you out there, right? You're like, whoa, this is crazy, and everybody gets a futon in this kind of room, this spiritual room, and you're just kind of flying out there, right? And I kind of fell asleep, and then I was waking up, and I'm like, oh, I'm sweating. I started sweating like crazy, and then I start sighing. And later on, my wife tells me, you are sighing so loud, you're not supposed to make any sound because you're disturbing other people. But I could not sigh. And every time I sighed, it felt so good. It was and thousands of years of pent-up frustration is coming out of my sighs, right? And so I'm sighing, I'm feeling super good, and I'm in and out. And there's times when I'm getting so far out that they know you're getting too tripped out. And so they'll take a feather and they'll rub it on your face, because that kind of brings you back. So it's all sobers you up a little.
Controlled, in a controlled environment.
Completely, yeah. That's cool. Completely controlled. It's like shepherded, right? And so then I'm like, whoa, this is like getting kind of crazy. I'm getting a little nutty, but no, then I calm down. So then the guy, the shaman dude, he's like, does anybody need a second dose? Because it's been an hour. And if you haven't had like a vision, it's time to have a second dose. So I'm like, yeah, I need a second dose. So I do the second one, right? And I'm like, this stuff doesn't work at all, man. I just feel like it's pretty much normal. I sighed a little bit, no big deal. So I take the second dose. Before I lay down again, it hits me literally, and it's hallucinogenic. So I actually saw a locomotive coming at me, like the blaring lights, woo! And I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna get smashed here. And I get hit by this train. And all I'm thinking while I'm getting hit by the train is, I just put a second locomotive on the tracks like 40 minutes behind this first one. And I'm flying. And then I started seeing these like weird little like dogs, like this dog in like a little doggy wheelchair with the legs dragging behind the wheels, and all this like, I think subconscious stuff is happening. So it's really tripping me out. Then all of a sudden I'm realizing that I hear all these people barfing in the room. And I'm like, oh, that's bad. That's bad. It's kind of come to me. And I'm like, I'm not feeling like barfy yet. And I'm just sighing. And eventually I'm like, oh, I think it's coming out the other end. And I don't even know if I can get up because I just feel so like wasted. And so the guy next to me, he gets up and he's able to go to the bathroom and come back. And I'm like, okay, if he can, I can. Next thing I know, I'm seeing Top Gun movie. And I'm in Maverick's seat. And I'm flying this F-15 through all the people that are laying on the floor. And I get to the bathroom and I land this plane on the poop deck on the aircraft carrier, and I literally gush my brains out. And it's like exorcist poo. It's like, and I was
no double
like,
dragoning though, just the bottom.
Like this black alien, like snake with a black huge head with these huge eyes. And I'm like, that's crazy, because I can't even see it from my perspective, but I know that's what's coming out the other end. And I hadn't really eaten, because you don't eat the day before. So it's like, I'm completely like clean already. And I've got this alien coming out of my A. So I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And so I go lie down again. And then the second train hits me and I see the train again. Wah, and then I'm flying the plane, land on the poop deck again, and complete same deal. Just like Exorcist 2. Dang. Unbelievable. So then I'm sitting on the pot and I'm like, we're on a podcast. I'm telling this is crazy.
I love it.
Okay, very frank. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's a message here. And I don't really realize it's like all my shit just came out. All my stuff, all my negative stuff in life just came out. And then I go back and I lay down and I'm kind of tripping again. I go, you know what? It was more than me. It was thousands of years of Asian people's pent up frustration, all of my lineage that have just completely been buggered up, because we're very much tight people, right? And that all came out because we all live our ancestors' history. And then it came to me, if it's shitty, don't do it. And that's stuck with me. It's a super good motto. So then I realized, like, yeah, we all do shitty stuff in our life. But what if we didn't do the shitty part? What if we just did the fun part, the appetizing part, the part that lights us up? I mean, there's a practical side to that, obviously. But I feel like I have a different lens by which I evaluate things. And I'm taking more things off my plate now than ever. And if all I ever did for like the whole rest of my career time was just like show the Shaka movie and chat it up, because there's always going to be a Q&A, and that's going to be a teaching moment, and I can connect people and we can have bigger ideas together, that's not bad. That's kind of good.
That's so cool. Have you done hallucinogenics before that?
No.
It's the first time.
No, I'm Asian. I'm a straight laced. I'm not.
That's why
I'm not like Joe. I mean, like, I'm not that experimental.
That's so interesting.
But yeah, I mean, I've always been very, very straight laced.
Would you recommend that to anyone?
No, completely. I mean, a lot of people would say that's like really sketchy and that's really out there, but I definitely benefited by it. And
so Steve now, compared to 6 months ago, different person? Maybe enhanced 2.0?
Yeah, enhanced. Yeah, supercharged, I'd say. Yeah. I'm more seeing. I'm more conscious of where I'm at and what I'm doing and why. I was hoping that it was going to give me like the moral of the Shaka story, and I kind of had it already, but it helped actually bring it into a little more focus.
That's so cool.
I thought it was going to be like, I've got it now.
Yeah.
I've got it now. It wasn't exactly that, but you know what? It was closer. Yeah. My wife, on the other hand, she had like no reaction, and she took 3 doses.
Wow.
And so she's Okinawan descent. So she was talking with the shaman dude, and he says, yeah, you know, a lot of Japanese women, we go light on them at first because they have small bodies and they may flip out. But then what we realize is that most of them need extra, and they actually never get like that crazy experience because there's so much female pent up frustration in that culture. You know, Japanese are really bottled up. So she's anxious to go again. And I was like, well, I was so wasted. I was so like emotionally spent after the first time.
You can't go again.
But now I think I could do it again. But yeah, it's I would recommend it if you're adventuresome.
Yeah.
If you don't, I don't think you can do it if you have like mental disorders.
Definitely,
it can completely wreck
after
you.
After 26, I think that's when most of the mental disorders, or like, you know, if you have
so
mental disorders.
So wait till after you're 26, and then if you're not
like
freaked out.
Yeah.
A lot of people do it military for people that have PTSD. Yeah. And it helps them.
Yeah. Well, I've seen bits of documentaries and people talking about how it helps, like therapy, mushroom therapy and all that stuff. So I'm curious about it. I've never tried it, but I'm more.
And this is not addictive. It's not like heroin or acid or anything like that.
It's so interesting to me. So I want to learn more before I make a decision. I just feel like I don't need it at this point in my life, but who knows? I was open-minded.
Yeah, you never know. But you know, it's like one of those things like, if you don't try, you never know. On the other hand, if you try,
yeah,
there's no going back.
It is. That is the scary part, but
it is a controlled substance in this country. So most people go to the Amazon, you know, and they do it there. But in this country, if you're doing it as a religious rite, then they can't stop you from doing it.
Okay.
So basically, you're going to a religious place, and then that's the guise of it. But I think, you know, if you're healthy, not a problem. But for people that have baggage issues, I think it can be extremely good. And so the theory goes that it opens up different areas in your brain at the same time. It's not just like your intellectual side, it's your emotional and your symbolic side and your memory cortex and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, like people loop in their thinking because they're damaged. Like you might have had something like you were bullied in grade school, and your whole life is reacting to being bullied then, and you're sort of trying to figure that out your whole life, but you can't because you keep trying to solve the problem, but you know, it's like your algorithm's broke, or maybe your CPU's broke. Like you can't process addition. You can do everything else. You can do subtraction, multiplication, but addition doesn't work for you. So this is a case where it allows more CPU to work, and you can perhaps solve the problem and get beyond it. And I think that's why the PTS thing, and why people that have early emotional traumas are able to use this. And I didn't think I had any of those things, and at the same time, I'm not like, you know, I don't think I'm mentally bad, but I could well be. But it didn't wreck me. So
well, that's good to hear. Something that I'll definitely take into consideration if I ever decide to do that.